Okay, it's giving me a green light, so it should be on. Max, can you confirm? It probably takes a couple of seconds. From what I know, there is like a 10-second delay just for buffering.
It's starting. Yes, it's work.
Okay, perfect, wonderful. So let's turn on the full screen. Let's start the local video recording. The CPU is not dying, which is good. Okay, wonderful. So hello everybody, welcome to this Ada meeting back again from summer, so October now. And today we have three topics prepared. One is very short. It's about the announcement of Ada at FOSDEM. And then we will have two talks, one from Francesc Rocher, which will present the infrastructure of the Alice project that he's been building in the past few months, that he talked last time. And then we have Rod Kay coming from Australia, where he will present his work on Swig for Ada, which is a binding generator for C++ libraries. So from my side, regarding FOSDEM, the FOSDEM people already announced that it will take, as always, the first weekend of February, once again, the conference. And we will try to get a place there, just like the last few times, last few years. Hopefully we can get a room, like it used to be the case. If not, we will try to get another like small table to share Ada with public. So if you are interested in helping or joining us, of course, this is free, this is open. You can all come. I know some people have already said that they cannot because of dates, but that's fine. So I will try to send the message for the dev room either tomorrow or this week, because the deadline is for the 16th of this month. If we get it, great. The announcements should be done at the end of October, beginning of November. For some people are always like a few days late, but that's fine. And if we are not allowed to have a dev room this year, once again, we will try to do the table, the stand. So if it's fine for you, oh yes, of course, Dirk, who has been organizing Ada FOSDEM for very many years. If you would like to say something.
Just a small remark that there is a dedicated mailing list, the Ada FOSDEM mailing list, for people who are interested in helping with the organization or helping with coming up with topics or proposals and so on. And I invite everyone who is interested to join that mailing list. I sent a message to I forgot where it was, the forum that Lang AI, what is it again? Forgot the name.
Adalang.
Yeah, adalang.io, with a link to how to join. And if you look on the internet for Ada FOSDEM, you will find the list. And otherwise, you contact me.
And I wanted to ask you, Dirk, before we move on, would you like to be co-organizer like last year's?
If there's no one else to help you, I definitely want to help you behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the
if
scenes.
There's someone else who wants to be more visible and also help, not just be visible without helping, then you choose. If you find someone active, then that's okay, and I'll be behind the scenes. If you need me as the second one, then I'm available. I'm willing to do it.
Perfect. Then I think we can move on to the presentations that we have now. They will last for about 20 minutes plus minus with some questions, if we have time. So if Francesc, if you would like to get started, or maybe Rod, are you ready, Rod? Because I know it's very late for you down in Australia, so I don't know if you would like to go first.
No, thanks. I'm happy with Francisco going first.
Okay.
Francisco, sorry.
Then Francesc, the floor is yours.
Okay, hello everybody. Well, I would like to present for second time, but with more details, the work I've been done in Alice and how the design and the proof of concepts I've developed, because it's not really working still, but I would like to present you how it works, and if you want to collaborate, you will be really welcome. So let me share the screen, and this window. Can you see my screen? Still not.
Yes. Yes, I can.
Yes? Okay. So I have two small presentations, one for the concepts that are behind the ALICE. ALICE means Adventures for Learning and Inspiring Coding Excellence. So what I will do is review this meaning of ALICE step by step. But first, I would like to remember that I post in the Alice repository, in the wiki site, if I'm not wrong, here, I posted a lot of things, a lot of concepts regarding the Alice and the project, and I draw this kind of map of content so can be guided to read this whole contents of the project. But anyway, we can go here in more detail because there are a concept key that is the collaboration roles. And you want, in Alice, will be possible to just participate, solving a lot of puzzles on problems that comes from Project Euler, Advent of Code, coding game, or whatever. Or for developers, it will be possible to develop new tools and implement new interfaces regarding to support the development of participants. To play with, for example, coding game will be a very, very challenging and funny to develop a game engine, for example, right? So I would like to spend just a couple of minutes to remind you what these projects are. Probably you already know how they work, but mainly Project Euler is this website where you can solve thousands of well, not thousands, hundreds of mathematical problems, and you just start for the first one. Just okay, you read the specification and you give the answer, and the interface will tell you if this is the correct answer or not. So it's like, for example, the Advent of Code. I remember that you were participating last year. Remember that I created this leaderboard with where people was participating in the Advent of Code last year. This year, I will post the same leaderboard so people can also join us and participate. And here it's the same. So you just go to a problem, read the specification, and put the answer here. So these are quite easy platforms to work with. But the most challenging and complex is, for example, this coding game, where you can have puzzles which are different levels, many puzzles of different levels. But in this case, there are, for example, puzzles that allows you to play somehow with, for example, this is the Mars lander, a very funny one. And when you run your code, this is a template you get with all the programming languages that are available in this platform. This is a difference with the others, because in Advent of Code or Project Euler, you can use the programming language you want. And yes, I know it's a shame that Ada is not here. Many people asked for these guys to put Ada here, me included, but still is not here. So, okay, we cannot program this in Ada, but we can run the code. And when you run the code, what you have here is a playback of what happened with your program, how control this Mars lander. And this is a playback, so you can go back and forth and see how you crash. Okay, so this requires is very different from the other two, Project Euler and coding game. And as you can guess, here requires a game engine behind this graphical user interface. So this is why participants will be able to play with their code, but developers will be able, or will, I hope, will enjoy developing this platform. Then back to the presentation. Mm, these are the two main cases, okay? And okay, next slide. As I said, we are going to review the adventures, or say the meaning of Alice adventures for, of course, working with several problem sources. As I mentioned, this lot of platforms out there. Check.io, I don't know. Coding Game is the one we see. Exosims, I know there is a threat because some people are trying to include Ada again in this platform. And Rosetta Code is also interesting because you already probably know, but here there are also hundreds of tasks, and many of them are solved in Ada. But the problem is that there is only one solution, and the thing will be to compare several solutions, right? Well, this case is not solved in Ada, using C, COBOL, whatever. So here again, lot of tasks to solve, to play with. Okay. Now, and also it will be possible that to create a new problem source specifically for Ada. So it will be kind of a platform made by the Ada community for the Ada language, with that address or resembles some real-time critical high integrity problems that are for embedded or distributed or any specific language things, right? So this is something that hope any of you consider and are ready to think about or to propose things in this sense, in this direction. Okay, so there are literally thousands of puzzles and problems to solve, and with a huge variety of the problem domains, because in Coding Game you get the more or less the algorithm that is required to solve the puzzles. For example, here, loops, distances, trigonometry, parsing, STR, conditions, binary search, etc. So there are opportunities to practice many different algorithms or programming techniques. There are a wide range of algorithms required to solve all these tasks, not only, Project Euler is strictly mathematical, but anyway, it requires also really interesting algorithms. So the participants in general will use three different scenarios. There will be problem sources that use a specific command line interface or graphical user interface that, for example, Project Euler, Coding Game, or Check.io. For the very simple platforms, for example, admin of code, there will be a minimum interface for sharing, because as you know, when you participate in the admin of code, you read the specification and you get your input. And the input for the puzzle is different for every participant. So it will be a probably interesting opportunity to share the inputs and see how the program works with not only my input as a participant of admin of code, but also with inputs from other participants. Or absolute freedom for coding like Rosetta Code. So just you put your solution, put your procedure, and see how to compare with other participants. Developers, again, can work with implementing interfaces using different frameworks. For example, I have developed the graphical user interface for Project Euler using Yoga, but it could be with GTK or SDL or whatever graphical interface you like. The game engines, specifically for Coding Game of Check.io, this will be very funny and challenging, or tools to share and compare solutions, or porting to new platforms, for example, porting to Raspberry Pi, for example, some kind of problems or whatever could be done, right? And learning, in the adventures for learning, by example. So this will be interesting to that people can compare many solutions that are put together in a single place, so people can compare solutions proposed by other participants and give feedback to them, right? Uh, Practicing new concept of algorithms, as we saw that there are many concepts to program. Implementing new tools, especially for developers, or specific Ada features if we require this. For example, in Project Euler, the graphical user interface is using tasks for to implement the representation, the graphical or mathematical representation of the problem. But anyway, of course, there are type system, generic task, concurrency, many things that can be specifically addressed by these platforms and problems. And also inspiring coding excellence, the thing would be to use and address the programming principles, the well-known clean code or solid techniques for design, the expressiveness of the algorithm, the style, maintainability. So there are many concepts here that will be interesting to develop. Also design by contract, of course, the preconditions, postconditions in Ada, it's really interesting. And the last one is correctness by construction. That will lead to Spark proofs. So the ultimate level will be to provide the proof of the algorithm you are implementing with Spark. At least this is the big idea. Okay. So, well, thanks for your time. This is the very first presentation of the concepts you have. I have in mind. Again, please, if you are interested, go to this is GitHub in Alice Adventures, the main repository, Alice, because I have here a lot of repositories in the Alice Adventures organization. This is the main one, Alice. Please, if you are interested, read this wiki with all these concepts that are well, developed here. Also, if you want to participate or suggest anything, please use the discussions in the same repository so we can have here feedback and discussions. Okay, now, second small presentation is the architecture. So, okay, this is interesting, but how it will look like? Well, very simple. It will be based on the command line Alice, very similar to Alire, or whatever you call it, that allows you to configure the participant profile and the problem source in which you want to participate. Okay, it's starting to work. It's still not finished, but step by step. And also, it allows you to work in the Alice project by sharing assets for a problem source. Assets can be the specification of a puzzle or a solution. Okay, and here we have more or less the picture of the repositories involved in this well, in this panorama. The participants are working with their own repositories. So user one in problem source is doing his implementations, because of course every participant is can choose the problem source in which he want to participate. Developers are mainly focused in the Alice framework, so this will be managed by Alire and GitHub. And also in the problem sources, implementing whatever is needed for particular problem source. Okay. So now, finally, the Alice commands will allows you to configure and work. So for the configuration, there will be some commands that Alice config. This is an Alice check to check your configuration if it's working or not. So you have access to, for example, the GitHub if your token is valid, because you will need a token in GitHub, or update the token, and check the sources, the problem sources that are currently available in Alice. So you can list or initialize to work, check the status if someone added problem new specifications, new solutions, whatever, and work. You can share your work and you can share your solutions. Of course, you will be able to run any problem that is present in Alice. And render, this is a command because it will be based on templates to facilitate the work of participants and developers. There will be templates that will be filled with new specifications to produce new programs. And then the participant will have to fill the specific procedure that gives the solution. And this will happen in the same Alice root directory, because this will be a crate in Alire. So you will Alire get Alice, and will download the first crate. And then later on, when you configure your new source, the problem source that you want to work with, you will get this new crate inside this Alice. Okay. The thing is that Alire doesn't allow you to get a new crate inside a new crate, inside an already existing crate. But this will be managed with GitHub, with Git pull in particular. And then you start working here with this can be Project Euler, for example, and then there will be a sharing space and user space. Sharing space will contain the specifications and solutions, so you can get inputs, get the specifications, and put solutions also. And here the users that are currently participating in this problem source in Alice. So for example, we have Alice, Bob, and any user. And this is again another crate managed with Git, not with Alire. It will be fetched with Git. So here you can Alire build whatever to use the libraries or binaries for this specific problem source. So there will be a lot of repositories involved here. Of course, these that are prefixed with Alice Adventures are in the Alice Adventures organization. The main one is this one. There will be an index for the crates created for the problem sources. There will be kind of Alice log repository. At least this is the first proof of concept I made to report whenever a user is sharing something or is uploading new problems or whatever. There will be the sharing space for any problem source with specifications and solutions, and the problem source itself, okay, and for the user, exactly, yeah, and the template to produce these programs in a much easier way. So the index or Alire crates at indexes will be Alice will be in the community index. It will be generally available for everyone that just Alire get Alice, and that's it. There will be then the problem sources will live in the Alice index because are managed differently. And the thing is that the repositories for the user will be owned by the user. So it's possible to publish a crate regarding based on this repository, but it's not mandatory. So participants will be able to have in a kind of private space their own work. They will be the owners. Because this is the only one that is of the user. The others are of the Alice Adventures organization. And well, pretty much that's it. This is how it will like. Again, I'm just working in the very beginning, starting with the configuration, checking update, implementing the GitHub API, using the GitHub API, and so on. So hope to have something ready for I don't know when, but pretty much that's it. If you have any questions, I can answer you, or remember, if you want to participate, please let's go here to discuss the things that you want to discuss.
Thank you, Francesc. If somebody wants to make a question, you can always raise your hand or or just turn on your mic since there is nobody in the queue. I see some clapping as reactions. That sounds good.
very funny. Yeah.
And I have a question. Oh, okay. Let's start with Jean-Pierre.
You are muted, Jean-Pierre.
I said, well, Alice is a nice name, but I'm afraid it's a bad name for Google. If you Google for Alice, you'll be on the 10th page in the search results.
Yeah, is there a way to put in the first page?
I don't know, maybe you can check Alice Ada or something like that and see what the best way to find it, if people have heard about it and look for it in Google. I don't know how you can find it.
Yeah. Well, it's something I didn't think in the beginning. I choose this name because it's, well, at least it's, the meaning of the name is really, I like it very much, this description, and it's the acronym of Alice, and well, it's also the adventures. So I don't know if the name is the most appropriate or not, but anyway.
Thank you, Jean-Pierre. Does anybody have any more questions? Okay, then I will ask mine. Okay, then AJ, if you would like to speak.
No, I just wanted to say, well, I think Alice might be a hard name for Google. Most of Ada's stuff is hard for Google, between Ada itself, the Ada web server, and it's like every time a new Ada related project comes up, seems to be hard to Google. I think people who want to learn Ada would probably end up finding this. We can, especially if we link it on Ada Lang and all the Ada links, awesome Ada, etc. It probably would be, discoverability is probably not going to be too big of a deal, except for, if we're hoping people just trying to learn an arbitrary language would come across it, but they probably wouldn't Google Alice anyway.
Yes, the thing is to put it into several places to advert the project, but for the moment it's not, because it's not really useful, or there is nothing working, but in the future it will be for sure.
And I wanted to ask about how is this deployed? I suppose it utilizes the GitHub infrastructure to run all the problem solving, all the checking and everything, no?
It will be run locally in principle.
Okay.
So every participant or developer will be working locally. And yeah, I thought also having a website or web server or in general a server where you can push your problems and then get compiled and run automatically, but I don't have this infrastructure yet. Also, it will be possible. I've been experimenting with a Docker container, so you can just Docker pull Alice and you have everything up and running in just minutes. That will be also interesting to have, just to avoid the user to do manually several steps that probably in the beginning he cannot understand.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are there any more questions? Yes, Weston.
So it's not ready to try out? Is that my understanding?
Not yet, not yet. I have some pieces still working, but not in the sense that you can download you cannot use the Alice command yet. I have, for example, for Project Euler, I could show you how it works, because I have here a tab that this is an application closed. I've been playing and running some applications here, but it's, if you want to try, of course you can I can explain how to download and how to play with these Project Euler things that I've been working with. But still, is that there are many pieces and are proof of concept still.
I'm really glad you put the architecture slide. That made it clearer for me about how it's going to be. But thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't understand you.
Oh, I just said I'm glad you put that architecture slide. It made it clearer for me.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Do we have more questions? Then, if not, I would say that we can. Well, I thank you, Francesc, for your presentation and your work. In the YouTube description, and also maybe when I post the announcements to these meetups, I will try to leave a link about your project, so that if anybody wants to quickly find it, they can. And as Francesc said, if you want to participate, go into the GitHub and have a discussion there or propose something. And then we can move on to Rod, who's visiting us from far, far away from Australia, who will present this Swig for Ada project he has been working on for quite a while already. So Rod, if you want to start sharing your screen or unmute yourself. You're still muted, but
Sorry. When I click on the start screen sharing, it comes up with you are sharing another application window. Stop sharing option. Is that normal?
not really, but maybe give it a try.
That doesn't seem to have helped. Do I need to stop the camera or?
Maybe it helps, maybe it shouldn't, but do you want to give it a try?
No, still no luck. Sorry about this, people.
Then don't worry, I just keep on trying. I will say a few more things to give you some more time.
Yep.
So
Thanks.
if anybody wants to, once again, like always, I'm bringing the ending of this meetup a little bit early. If anybody of you would like to present or share their work here, just as you can see in like 20 minutes, you are more than welcome to do so. My goal here is to let the people know what others are working on, and also try and see what cool things are being done, which we can then later talk about and refer people to. Oh yes, Dirk.
Well, hello. Maybe I can take the occasion of having a minute now to
Yes.
point your attention to the Ada Europe conference, the annual conference. Most of you know about it, I presume. Next year's conference on reliable software technologies will be held in Spain, in Barcelona, from Tuesday 11 to Friday the 14th of June. There are a few deadlines for submissions, and we invite everyone to consider submitting to the appropriate track. We have, first of all, what is called the Journal First track, which is more for academic papers, and which end up in a special issue of a journal. The deadline there is 15th of January. And for all the other tracks, like industrial presentations, work in progress, tutorial proposals, workshops, the deadline is the 26th of February. That all may seem quite some time from now, but it's good to start thinking of whether you are interested in submitting something and presenting something to the community of people who are interested in Ada in particular, and more generally in reliable software technologies. The site where you can find everything about the conference is, as usual, adaeurope.org and then /conference 2024. You have no need to share it. It's easy to be found.
We'll leave a link to it nonetheless in the recording.
Yeah. Okay. And maybe a second brief announcement is that last time in the first Ada monthly meetup, I announced that Ada Europe was working to get the Ada 2022 reference manual published by Springer in its LNCS series, as we have done for all the previous versions of the reference manual. Springer is going ahead with this, and we are now working with Randy Broekhart, who is the editor of the reference manual for ISO, to adapt the text to the layout requirements of LNCS. And this is ongoing. We're now waiting for feedback from Springer about his proposed version of the manual for LNCS. The hope was that this would be concluded this year. I'm starting to doubt it, given the time that Springer needs to do everything, but we'll see. But this is ongoing. Okay.
And if I remember correctly, if somebody wanted a copy, they should contact you, shouldn't they?
They can contact me or Ada Europe. We will end up with doing what we did in the previous years, which is offering the possibility to join a group. How do you call that? A group order with Springer, where you will be able to get it at roughly half the price of half the listed price.
Jimpe, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, can you confirm that it will be published as 2 books?
We don't know yet. It will. Springer told us that it's too much. It's too thick for one book, so it will definitely be 2 books. It may even be 3, because their layout requirements changed, and it seems that we get less content on a page. But this we will know after they give feedback to the current version of that Randy prepared. But the price will be independent of the number of volumes. We will also be looking into having a reasonably logical split over the several volumes with table of contents and index adapted appropriately.
Well, the obvious split is the language on one side and the library, the annexes on the other side.
Yes, that's one of the intents, the language in one volume and then the annexes in the second, or in 2 and 3. We'll see, because the annexes are quite substantive by now.
Okay. So I see Rodkay is still having some technical issues. It has improved. I don't know if you noticed, he finally managed to show the screen, but it was black, so an improvement, but not quite. And And regarding the public, a question that Luke said in the chat, he mentions that the PDF available freely and openly is the draft 35. Will the final version be published?
This is obviously the intent, but what is published on by the ARG, by WG9, is the material as it is submitted to ISO. And what ISO publishes is another document which usually very few people in the Ada community use. So you could see it as what the ARG prepared and what will be on this ada-auth.org site, if I remember well, is the source version, and from that is derived the ISO version on the one hand, and what is in LNCS on the other hand. So what the Ada community typically uses is the numbering of the clauses as it is in the WG9 version. The ISO version doesn't have clause numbering, for example, and has specific requirements on some sections which resulted in having sections with different numbers than in the version that we are used to. So that has always been the case, and that will still be the case now. But the Ada community typically uses the source version.
Okay.
So there's no practical problem in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Then Rod is already sharing his screen, and I think we can give the go-ahead for the Swig for Ada presentation. Rod, you would have to unmute yourself, and the floor is yours.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm sorry about that again. Let me see. First of all, my name is Rod Kay. I'd just like to say hello to all the people here I know. Fur, obviously. Luke, Jed, and Eagle H, who I've known on Ada IRC for many years. Also hello to Jeff, whose Pragmark components I've used a fair bit, and to Maxim, who has helped me out a few times on CLA. Okay, my first job was at Submarine Warfare Systems Centre in Australia. We called it SWISC, and for the first 2 or 3 months, I had nothing to do until I had my security clearance go through, and so they gave me this task of learning this newfangled language called Ada. Coming from a COBOL background, you can probably imagine my delight. It was love at first sight. Anyway, that's enough about me. Okay, I've been working on this project for longer than I care to admit. It's been through several iterations. Initially, I based the code on the Java Swig module. Unfortunately, with that, all the types were wrapped C pointers, which was pretty awful, instead of a full one-to-one correspondence of C to Ada. The current design, or the current project, does use a one-to-one correspondence. I'll just quickly show you a current design diagram. If I can get this screen sharing to work again. Is that showing up now?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, it's a very basic diagram. As you can see, we have a SWIG interface file which describes how the interface should be generated and the C project from which the C headers come from. So we send the interface description of the C headers into SWIG, which generates a SWIG model of all the types and declarations. That gets passed through to a C modeler, which makes a model of C, which gets passed to the Ada modeler, which makes an Ada model, and I spelt that incorrectly, which goes through to a generator, which generates both Ada source code and the C wrapper source code. So it's just basically a simple pipeline there. Okay, what comes next? Okay, I've split the presentation into 3 parts, basically 3 parts. Project 1, which just shows a few simple translations from C to Ada. Project 2, which shows a project importing header files from Project 1. Finally, an OpenGL, a demonstration of what the C header from OpenGL looks like in Ada, a few basic SWIG commands, and then finally what I hope for in the future. Well, not the too far distant future, I hope. So I'll quickly go to Project 1. Just bear with me. Okay, so we have it's going to be a little bit awkward because I thought it would share the whole screen, where at the moment I can only share one application at application at a time, which I hope to remedy in future. Okay, well, the basic project structure is I've got a build folder, a generate folder, a source folder, and a project 1 GPR.
We cannot see your screen now, so I don't know if you're sharing a specific app or something.
Yeah, the trouble is I've got about 100 different applications open, and it's difficult to find the right one. Oh dear. Sorry about this, people. Oh dear. A JavaScript error has occurred in the main process. Okay, this is, which I hope you can see, is a SWIG interface file for project 1. It begins with %module and then whatever you want to call the project. The project name will be the top level namespace for the generated Ada files. Here we include the header file for the project. This gets put straight into the SWIG wrapper file to allow it to compile the generated C code. Finally, there's the %include project1.h, and that's the file which actually gets wrapped. I'll try to bring up the header file now. Okay, this is the project 1 header file. All of this is probably very familiar. We'll just define a constant pi, another integer called i3, then an i3 times 2. Finally, an external variable, which is initialized to the value of i3 underscore times 2. A simple enumeration, a few simple type defs, structure date using those type defs, and a few functions, void, the old foobar routine, and finally a function pointer. Okay, so so I was going to show you all of this individually, but since of a difficulty with sharing the desktop, I'll just stick to the main files involved. This is the top level namespace file generated by SWIG.
But we cannot see the screen or the
Yep, I'm just just getting to that. Okay, can you see that now?
No.
I can see it.
Yeah, it should be there. Okay, so unfortunately there's a problem there with the redundant WIFs, but yeah, I'll get to that later on, well, later on in the project. Here we see the enumeration, state, failed working, and then the representation clause, it's reordered, failed and working because, of course, Ada requires them to be in the correct order. We get a state array, version in Ada from the C, same with year type, month type, day type. I use nat pretty print to pretty print things, but of course sometimes it gets things a little bit wrong like that. And finally a function pointer array, and here we import the i3 times 2 variable. So I'll close that down. Next. Please bear with me. Okay, so we have here our tester program. All it does is puts the image of the I3, I2 variable. It's just really to show that everything builds and links okay. And and here I've just built the project using a project file. Here is the executable, which just prints out the value of that variable. Okay, the second project pretty much just uses project 1 as a dependency. So the C interface file looks like this. Which is has the same module declarations before. Project 2C include Project 2 header. The important part is this import, which tells it to get the interface generated by Project 1 and import it so it can be used, but don't actually create any declarations for it. So in here, of course, we include Project 2 to generate the binding for Project 2. Okay, so the Ada source file here looks like this. So we're within in Project 1C date type, which is a package which binds to the date type. It just declares an Ada record. A Project 2C binding, which contains the functions exported by Project 2. We just have a simple test. It declares a date variable, as you can see here. Prints again the value of the I3 by 2 variable and shows the date. The show date function in C is simply just a printf showing each field of the date structure. Okay, running over time, but I'll try to be quicker. We'll quickly just test that. Okay, there's a slight problem with that. I'll show you instead the generated source code. Oh, okay, that's the problem. Okay, once more, switch to a different window. Okay, I've just generated project 2. Over here, I did the actual build. Sorry, I generated the actual source, and here I've built a project. So if I run tested 2, you see again the value of the variable from project 1 and the result of calling the show line function. Okay, I'll bring this to a close and put us out of my misery. I was going to show you OpenGL. I'll just try that quickly. Okay. Earlier on, I generated the C binding to OpenGL, gl.h file, and this is quickly what it looks like. Okay, so a bunch of types and their associated arrays. A couple of function pointers here, then a whole bunch of, well, hundreds and hundreds of, well, not that many, but many constants. Then I'll quickly show the actual binding file, which contains all of the procedures. Okay, once again, it's been formatted by that pretty print. And you can see all of the GL procedures that come out of the OpenGL gl.h file. Down in the private part, there's all the actual imports, which you would probably expect. And that's, I think, just about it. I'll just quickly finish with there are some basic Swig commands. One is rename, %rename, which allows you to rename any declaration. %ignore, which tells Swig not to generate any Ada binding for whatever that declaration applies to. And finally, a %inline, in which you can place your own C functions, and they'll be exported as an Ada function. So you might want to, I don't know, you might want to declare a C function which does this or that. If you put it in the Swig interface file with the %inline and the source code, then that will be available to you. Finally, the future. Thinking about doing a GUI editor which generates the Swig interface file, just to make it easier to do things like rename, ignore, include other C header, well, define a set of C header files which are bound to. The second thing is to hopefully thicken up the binding a little bit for instance, to convert things like char star from using interfaces C, char pointer, to using Ada string. That's probably the most obvious one. And finally, to complete C++, which is 3/4-ish done. There's a direct one-to-one correspondence between C and Ada with declarations. Unfortunately, that isn't the case with C++, in which multiple inheritance poses a significant problem. Some things are nice with C++. For instance, we can convert pure virtual classes to Ada interface types. Single inheritance in C++ is no problem with Ada. There's support for templates, support for exceptions, except I haven't implemented that yet. And yeah, well, I think I'll leave that. The C++ talk till I've got it more satisfactory and I actually learn how to use Jitsi properly. Okay, I'll finish up there because I've gone over time. I'm sorry for all of the delays and the problems. And I'll hand back to Fer and see if anyone has any more questions.
Yes, if someone wants to ask something to Rod, feel free. Luke wants to make a question. I think Luke didn't want to, and then I believe Wesley was afterwards.
Yeah, so it would be nice if you also included an option to have the a comment embedded next to the Ada version, and that lists the name or the variable that was in the original C. That way, it can easily map it back. Right? Sometimes I think that's useful when you get a binding that's auto generated.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a second. No, sorry, I couldn't see myself, so I thought I must be still sharing the screen. Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. It's been in the back of my mind for quite a while. So yeah, that will definitely go through in a future version.
Yeah, Weston?
Oh yes, I was wondering. Do you know like what version of the C language that the tool supports?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that.
Do you know up to what version of the C language the tool supports for converting?
The C version.
Yeah, like C99 or C11.
Yeah, I couldn't say offhand. I imagine it's probably a very recent version. That's something I should check out.
And I'm kind of curious if there's this tool, but then why is I believe in GCC there's like some dump spec type of option. It's like wondering why that was even developed when this tool existed already.
Yes, I almost dropped Swig for Ada when I heard that was coming out. But when I looked at the bindings it generated, I personally wasn't that impressed. They use system address for all pointers instead of interfaces.c.pointers, which Swig for Ada uses. And yeah, that was one of the main reasons I continued.
Like we were talking about I had asked what versions of C that the tool supports, And I also asked, oh wait, what was the second one I asked? Oh, yeah, why that dump spec feature was added to GCC when this tool already existed. That was what I was asking. I have one final question, Rod. So, does it generate portable Ada code, or is it net specific? Because it would be nice if it could be restricted to just pure Ada, not net specific extensions.
Yeah.
Or even if you can even specify which revision of Ada to output.
The version of Ada should be whenever it should be 2005 plus. Yeah, as far as being NAT portability with regards to NAT, the goal is to obviously not be NAT specific. The generator does use interfaces.c.pointers, which I think may be NAT specific. I don't think it's made it into the standard. That's something I have to check up on. Otherwise, apart from interfaces.c.pointers, the rest of the code should be portable across Ada compilers. Yeah. That's about it for that question from me. I'm sorry, it's not very specific.
I would like to ask a question. Is the tool still published or still not? Already published, sorry.
Yeah, the project is on GitHub, has been for some time. I haven't actively promoted it because I haven't been entirely happy with the results so far. At the moment, there are probably only about a dozen of the Swig test suite cases which fail with Swig for Ada. So that's getting very close to a reasonable result.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Then I think we are nearing time. It's already 4:15 here, at least. And it's probably much, much later down in Australia. But anyway, thank you, Rod, for your presentation. I will try to leave a link to your project, to your GitHub, so that other people can take a look at it and maybe also help. I'm very interested in seeing how the C++ findings grow up, because I know they are quite difficult to get right. But that would be everything for today, or this monthly meetup. If anybody wants to make one last comment or any closing remarks, you are more than welcome. And once again, what Dirk said before, the Ada Europe, Dirk wants to, okay, go ahead, Dirk.
Forgot to unmute. There was a question, and I realized later that I really didn't answer it correctly about this draft 35 of the reference manual. And I had a quick look and mentioned in the chat that this has been updated apparently on the adaode.org website, where the reference manuals are, is now the final version of the Ada 2022 manual. One thing that hasn't been updated is that that page also has a few tabs in the top, one pointing to a page on the Ada standard, and that is still the 2012 version. So there's still a little bit of work to do there to update all the links. But the final version is now on the ada22.html page. at the URL that I gave in the chat. Okay.
Okay, thank you. And I think there was someone else with their hands raised. Weston?
Yes, thank you. So I know there's not much time in, so this is kind of late, but I know maybe some of you saw it, but there was that call for request for information about memory safe languages by the, I'm not sure what, some National Cyber Director's Office. So I'll put the link here. So I know, yeah, I know the deadline is the October 9th. So, but anyone wants to participate, Wesley and myself are writing a paper to a letter to submit. But yeah, if anyone else is interested, that would be great. But if you look at the website and they're looking for solutions to suggestions on various categories. They again look at the website. It's not just like, hey, what's the language that's available? No, it's you have to kind of like fit into the context that they're looking for. So, yep.
Thank you. And just as a comment, as far as I know, at least one person has already submitted one for Ada. But obviously, we can submit as many as we want, which I'm sure other communities will. So don't hesitate.
Yeah. So it says that they'll make the submissions public later on. So I think when I just looked, I think there was like 16 submitted. So and then they'll make them public.
Then, does anybody want to share anything else? Doesn't seem like it, and we are a little bit over time. So from my side, thank you for coming, everybody. It has been wonderful to get back to the monthly meeting. And once again, if you would like to share any... Oh, okay, Simon? You're muted, Simon.
I'm sorry, that was the wrong button. I didn't mean to push it. So I think I can join in everyone else in thanking you for organizing this, and looking forward to next month. Thank you. Thank you.
Then, okay, Dirk. Oh, I think you also made a bit of a mistake there.
Wrong button as well.
Then, thank you guys for coming. I will stop the live stream now,